Recently, a viewer asked me to make a video on how to use a watercolor brush for blending. I decided to take it a step further and include three other methods of blending as well: the blending stump, Q-tip, and finger. The main goal is to show the pros and cons of each tool and to give a brief tutorial on how you can use each one of them. At the end of the video, I will give my opinion regarding which blending tool I prefer the most and which one should be avoided. In order to create a good comparison between these different blending tools, I try to keep certain factors the same. That included the same mouth drawing with the same dimensions and the same shading technique, or at least close enough. One thing to keep in mind when you are using the blending tools is that your pencil strokes have to be close to each other before you start the blending. That is, making sure the pencil lines are not far apart. To improve your shading, try holding the pencil at an angle in order to avoid the tip touching the paper. You can also shave off more of the pencil casing, exposing more of the graphite. That way you can achieve wider pencil strokes. You can always go back and add additional pencil strokes on top of your original shading if you want darker tones. When using the blending stump, you want to keep it at a low angle so that its side touches the paper and not the tip. Using a side-to-side motion, it is recommended that you start from the lighter region and progress towards the darker region in order to avoid smearing the graphite into the lighter shading. I sometimes do go back and forth, but only when I want to achieve a darker blend. The Q-tip is used in a similar fashion to the blending stump. Using the same side-to-side motion, you make your way from the lighter shaded region to the darker shaded region, again to avoid darkening the lighter areas too quickly. With the brush, on the other hand, you have a few blending options. For a gentle blend, when you want to leave some pencil textures and details, you hold the edge of the brush perpendicular to the pencil strokes, and using a swiping motion, you move the brush in the direction of the pencil strokes, like you see on the screen. This is usually done when you're close to finishing a drawing and want to gently blend an area you worked on while maintaining the detailed finished look. If you want a more aggressive blend, you hold the brush parallel to the pencil strokes at a low angle. With a bit more pressure on the brush, using the same side-to-side motion, you will achieve a similar results as the Q-tip and blending stump. This is usually done when you want to blend quickly and don't care as much about the pencil texture. The first test between the tools was blending the background tone. After drawing the outline of the mouth, I applied the first layer of shading, just a light flat background tone so that the mouth stands out. I will be adding the highlights with an eraser at a later point for a more dramatic effect. As you can tell, I use the same basic side-to-side motion with all of the tools to simply blend the pencil lines into a flat tone. To my surprise, the finger was quite effective at this. However, the finger has a major drawback that I'm going to mention at the end of the video. The rest of the tools performed similarly at this task, with the brush and blending stump having the best control due to their longer pencil-like grip. Next, I applied the darker shading to the lower lip in order to create contrast between the lower and upper lip, making the upper lip seem slightly closer to us. I also applied some shading near the bottom of the lower lip as well as the upper lip in order to make them appear more round. Again, the finger was very quick to blend with. However, if you look closer, the blending looks smudgier than the other tools. Overall, the blending stump was quick and effective. A bit too effective, I would say, because it removes the pencil texture entirely. Very useful for quickly blending backgrounds and shadows, or blending the first layer of shading before you go back with a pencil to add details and texture. I don't recommend using it when you're near the end of a drawing, especially if you're trying to achieve a realistic look. Another downside of using the blending stump is that it has to be cleaned regularly, and for that you need a blending stump sharpener, which pretty much is a sandpaper stapled on a piece of wood. You can find them online for relatively cheap, or you can simply use sandpaper if you have some available. The process is quite messy and not as easy as cleaning a brush, which only requires a piece of paper to rub off the excess graphite. Now, the Q-tip is not as effective as the blending stump, especially when it comes to blending large surface areas due to its smaller surface area. However, that can come in handy at doing some more localized, precise blending. The brush, on the other hand, is able to do more aggressive blending, such as backgrounds and shadows, as well as more gentle, subtle blending when you want to smooth out pencil strokes but still leave details and texture. This makes the brush the most versatile tool in my opinion. This means that the brush can be used throughout the whole drawing process, from the beginning to the end. However, this versatility does come at a price, because you are making contact with the brush bristles and not the solid surface. The angle, the motion, and the pressure you put on the brush will give you different results. Therefore, in my opinion, the brush requires the most practice out of all the blending tools in order to become more proficient at. But when you do get comfortable with it, you will be able to get some really nice results. And that is why the brush, in my opinion, is the best blending tool. Lastly, avoid using the finger. Even though it is the most accessible and convenient blending tool, our skin produces natural oils that when mixed with graphite or charcoal, it can result in a sticky smear. Have you ever noticed an area of your drawing that is shaded darker than the rest, even though you are putting the same pressure on the pencil? That is most likely due to the area having been exposed to your skin oils. That is why a lot of artists place their hands on a piece of paper or paper towel when drawing. That is done to avoid smudging the shading, but also to prevent the skin oils from getting on the area you are going to be drawing on. A good substitute for the finger is a soft paper, like tissue paper or even cotton, or a piece of cloth. If you found this video useful, make sure to subscribe, like and comment with any suggestions you might have for a future video. Thank you for watching until the end. Have a good one.